What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Christian Hanna Horror here. Today, guys, we're going to talk PG-13 horror. You know, this is a topic that was discussed on panel shows I've done, and I never talked about it on here before. I think it'd be a good conversation, because that's all I can really add. Now, this is not a video saying that PG-13 is good or bad. I'm just going to tell you my thoughts on PG-13 horror today, because the past is the past. But today, PG-13 horror, is it bad, good, or what do I think? You know, PG-13 horror, I think nowadays, it's not as much of a big deal as it was, say, 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. You know, we're so desensitized, especially with the MPAA, you know, we're so desensitized to what can be considered, you know, over the top or grotesque on screen for horror movies that it seems like it's no problem to get a rated R, as opposed to how it was so difficult to get a rated R back in the day. And because of that, I think it's the trickle-down effect to where horror movies are getting made PG-13 kind of left and right. And there's movies now that I saw recently that I enjoyed. Countdown, pretty good horror movie. Wasn't The Shining, but it didn't insult my intelligence. I had fun watching it. It was a fun movie. You know, there was a movie that came out recently called Brahms the Boy 2. Another pretty good horror movie. And I want to say something real quick about this, because it's not exactly about PG-13, but I think it's important to say. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with pretty good movies. I think that if we can take a step back and realize that sometimes movies serve a purpose, enjoyment, to have fun. You know, not everything has to be The Green Mile or The Shining, or, you know, not everything has to be this amazing, life-changing thing. Films are fun to me. And, you know, PG-13 movies now, I think, serve more of that kind of purpose in my life. And, you know, I try not to really stop and look at the back. What is that rated? PG-13? No, I'm not going to watch The Boy 2. What is Countdown rated? PG-13? No. But I gotta be honest, I was starting to get kind of guilty of that. You know, I think that a lot of my friends have been guilty of that as well, where we've stopped and said, PG-13, I'm out. You know, not to mention another film that I saw recently. I didn't realize it was PG-13. I just watched it and looked at the back. Escape Room. What a fun, enjoying movie. You know, once again, not The Shining. Nothing, you know, philosophical. It's a movie about a group of people who play an escape room game, and it becomes a little bit more intense than they anticipate. That's fun. And I think PG-13 horror movies, from what I see, kind of represent more of that now. That blockbuster-style horror, if you will. You know what I mean? For the people that know I'm talking about, like, blockbuster-style horror for me is like those movies that you would just see and rent because, oh, that cover art looks cool, let's check that out. And you just see sometimes a fun little movie, sometimes you see an amazing movie. But I think PG-13 horror kind of gives me that feeling from back in the day. You know what I'm saying? That let's check that out, let's rent that. The PG-13, I call it blockbuster horror now. In terms of the rental style, not blockbuster. I think you might get what I'm saying. But I can't just give PG a perfect pass. I think what's a problem is when studios trickle down a movie to make it PG-13. We've seen that happen. And it's hard. Because the job of a movie, when you're in a production company or if you're an executive, is to have that movie make as much money as possible, right? Forget a good film. Gotta make money. So that's a struggle. You've got studios that will do that kind of thing because they want the movie to make money, so sometimes they will say, let's make this PG-13 instead so we can, you know, try to get more people in the theaters. But it seems that may not be the smartest move today because a lot of people, and I've been guilty of it, will say, no, PG-13, I'm out. I don't feel like seeing like that. I wanted to see, they changed it to make it PG-13, especially when that's announced. I think that's a really bad move. When you announce this movie will now be rated PG-13, that just means you went to the cutting room and cut. And I think people appreciate an honest vision. I know you, the audience, do. You know, you wouldn't like it if I didn't give you an honest vision and just started editing my films to my videos to shreds. And, you know, I think that's a problem. I think studios will hopefully see that, but then again, it all reflects box office. You know, so we vote with our dollar at the end of the day when in terms of that. But PG-13, I don't think is an enemy. I don't think it's a problem. It was extremely important at a certain part of my life. And now I just watch movies to enjoy them. And if they're PG-13, okay, I'm not going to hold that against the film. And I'm not saying that you all should just do exactly and think the way I think. I'm just presenting how I am with these films. I love pretty good horror movies. I do. I love pretty good horror movies. I don't need everything to blow me away. So when I show you films like this, including Killer Clowns, which is actually 80s, but that was PG-13. But when I show you films like this, I can get down with these. I'm not going to say that they're the greatest things I've ever seen, but they're fun. I enjoy them. And these are just some examples. So I guess PG-13 really isn't that bad after all. I've really started to open my eyes up about this, and I think it's high time we open up the conversation. PG-13 horror, what do you think? What's your situation with PG-13? Do you just pass every time something comes out horror that's PG-13? Or maybe you're a parent and you have kids that you want to get into horror, and that's a good avenue to take them through as they're growing up with PG-13. Let me know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about studios making films PG-13 that are rated R? What are your thoughts about PG-13? This is Christian Hanna Horror. I hope to open up a nice dialogue about this subject because I think it's an important conversation. But for now, we'll talk to you guys later.